Welcome to Christ Temple Church, Grand Rapids, where our pastor is Suffragan Bishop Tony Thomas. I am Evangelist Valencia Agnew, and it is time for Tuesday Reflections, so grab your journal and take some notes. Today I want to talk to you about checking your blind spots, because it is always a good time to check your blind spots. Think about driving. When you're driving your car and you have a blind spot, you might start pulling over into someone's lane and cause an accident. Could even cause the loss of a life because you did not see your blind spot. So we have to check our blind spots. And blind spots are dangerous because the person who has them usually feels the most certain they are seeing things clearly and then realize, nope, I didn't see things as clearly as I thought. So I want to share with you some scriptures that talk about blind spots, and then I want to give you some real life examples just in case you think you don't have any blind spots. We all do. Psalms 19:12 says, "Who can understand his errors? Cleanse thou me from secret faults." We often can't see our own faults. David had to admit that there are faults he cannot see, and blind spots are often hidden sins, attitudes, unknown weaknesses, or patterns that we are not aware of. A person can believe they're managing stress well, but everyone else around them notices they have become impatient, they're short-tempered, and difficult to approach, right? And number two is the heart can deceive us. Jeremiah 17:9 says, "The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it?" So our hearts can mislead us about ourselves. We're not always aware of our own motives and behaviors. A blind spot often comes from us believing our own narrative and not always being a reliable judge of ourselves. So a person can say, "I'm doing this for the right reasons," but underneath there's insecurity, there's fear, there's jealousy, there's the need for approval. So we can often misunderstand our own motives. Number three is we can clearly see others' faults but miss our own. Any of you ever been there? Okay, well, if you haven't, I certainly have. Matthew 7:3-5 says, "And why beholdest thou the mote in thy brother's eye, but considereth not the beam that is in thine own eye?" Another version of that scripture says, "Why are you looking at the speck in your brother's eye and not looking at the log in your own eye?" And Jesus described the ultimate blind spot, and that's seeing small problems in others while ignoring the large issues in ourselves. Uh, an example of that can be someone quickly noticing another person's attitudes, that person's lateness, weaknesses, or inconsistencies, while being oblivious and ignoring the same patterns in themselves. It is often easier for us to diagnose others than to examine ourselves. So blind spots often appear when we're focused outward instead of inward. Is that you? Four is thinking we can see clearly and can actually be blind. John 9:39-41 says, "For judgment I am come into this world, that they which see not might see, and they that which see might be made blind." And that was about the Pharisees thought they had spiritual insight, yet they were spiritually blind. So a person can be convinced they already know enough, they already got it figured out, so they stop listening, they stop learning, they're not as teachable, and so they stop receiving correction because everyone else is afraid to try and correct them. Confidence can quietly become blindness. Sometimes the people most confident in their vision are the most blind. Can people bring correction to you, or are they afraid to tell you how to do something different or better? And 5, pride creates blind spots. Proverbs 16:18 says, pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. So pride prevents us from seeing what is going wrong with us. A person can refuse help because they believe needing help makes them weak. So pride can sound like strength. Blind spots often grow in the soil of pride. Think about that. Number 6 is we need others to help reveal what we cannot see. Proverbs 27:6 says, faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. So sometimes God uses honest people in our lives to reveal blind spots. In correction, it can be painful, but necessary for clarity. Again, is it easy for someone to tell you something that you don't want to hear? 7, we should invite God to examine us. Psalms 139:23 and 24 says, search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts. David invited God to reveal what he couldn't see about himself. Do you invite God to show you what you can't see about yourself? A person keeps praying up to God to change everyone around them and change all the situations around them, but rarely asks God what needs to change about themselves. Is that you? Sometimes we seek relief before we seek revelation. Spiritual maturity includes asking God to expose our blind spots. And 8, self-deception is possible. It is possible, people. James 1:22 says, but be ye doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. So we can believe we are spiritually healthy while actually deceiving ourselves. That could be a person who knows what should be done, talks about it, agrees with truth, but never changes their behavior. Know any people like that? Blind spot is agreement with truth is not the same as obedience. Just because you agree with it and you don't live it out, you don't do it, that's a blind spot. Blind spots often come from knowing truth but not applying it. So another way of looking at it is we can seem right to ourselves. Proverbs 21:2 says, every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord pondereth the hearts. So that could be a person that leaves a difficult conversation fully convinced they handled it correctly, while the person they left behind is hurt, confused, and discouraged. So we can grade ourselves by our intention while others experience our impact. Is that a blind spot? So in conclusion, I want to say, check your blind spots. Blind spots are the places in our lives where we are confident we see clearly, but God sees something different. Thank you for listening in on our Tuesday Reflections. We invite you to join us on Tuesday mornings for our call to pray, and on Transformational Thursday for Bible class, and for Sunday services. Details can be found below.